Hello and welcome to Jennifer Knatters, my knitting and nattering video podcast. Today is the 18th of January, and I don't think you can see outside, but it did snow yesterday, and that's why everything is kind of so bright. It's not even sunny today, it's just very bright in the reflections. Not quite as prepared for this as I should be because I didn't know I was going to get today. It's been a rather busy week with things like Catherine not taking a nap one day, and I had to make a doctor's appointment for Christina another day. So it's just been a fair bit busy, and suddenly today some time freed up and I'm getting to do this. So I have no finished objects to show you today, and I'll start with my work in progress, my Brunsfield vest. And I have knit far enough that I've separated the back. This is the neckline here in the back. So, and then these will be the two shoulders. So this is one side of the shoulders. And then this is the armhole steek. Where those parallel lines are, I'll cut up the dark center, and that'll be the armhole. And then on this vest, you make the fronts a little bit longer. So it'll be one more repeat of this X's and O's pattern. And then use this lighter color to graft it to the back, and that will make the colors flow smoothly over the shoulder. So I'm really close to done. These shorter rows, just the fronts knit very quickly. I've been looking at like the colors. I'm at a point where I'm knitting from tiny little balls like this. And I'm thinking, oh, I should get out the next color for that. And then I finish the row and I'm like, oh, I didn't hardly use any of that color because it is such a short repeat. So yeah, this is coming along really nicely. I don't even want to say hopefully next time I see you I will have finished knitting it and will have grafted the shoulder seams together. I don't know that I will have done any more than that. But yeah, very exciting. It's nice to be so close. Although I did think kind of when I finished this bit that I was closer to done. I was kind of like, oh, I still have a fair bit more, but these rows are so short, it's really not that much to do. So yeah, very excited. Here it is in kind of all its glory. And that one's kind of in my, sorry, the needles clinked a bit on the radiator when I put it on the floor there. That's kind of in my after the little boo-boos go to bed project, which hasn't always been a success getting them to bed. There was one thing where on one of the X and O repeats, no, here I'll show you. On one of the X and O repeats, before I divided for the shoulders, I went from the blue to the dark purple and completely left out this medium purple. So then I had to rip that out and redo it. And there's been a few things like that. One of these heart sections, like I was starting the next bit, I guess it would have been this heart section down here. I was starting the next bit of the X's and O's, and then I realized that one row on one quarter had gotten all off. It was getting a bit frustrating there because I was working on it when I was really tired and I was making mistakes, which isn't the best time to work on something more complicated. But when my children are awake and running around, I can't really work on complicated things either. One thing I did pick up again, I told you last time that my Teradil hat by Emily Williams was in timeout, but I've picked it up again. And I've only done a few very small rows. You can see it's going to be a large graphic snowflake, and it's starting. You cannot see it at all what you're doing on the row that you're knitting. You can't see the color work there, but then you get past it and all of a sudden, a row or two up, you can see it. So that's going to be the top of the graphic snowflake. There are, I think, 4 of them. Maybe only 3. 3 graphic snowflakes going around. And they'll be fully reversible. So this is what it looks like on the other side. The light blue snowflakes on the purple. I really would have gone for a light pink, but this yarn does not include a light pink. But hopefully Kate Davies, who produces this yarn, will expand the color range and it will include a light pink. But yeah, I picked it up. I still don't like double knitting, but I think setting it aside and doing something else for a week kind of let my brain sort through how to do it. So now it's going a wee bit easier. And then I want to finish, I've got the Brunsfield vest that's almost done. I've got this hat that kind of stalled out. I've got another jumper I haven't even looked at, I don't know, November. Another cardigan. I kind of want to finish some of these, clear the decks. I've got a sock I finished one sock and I'm working on the second sock. And it's not just a knit around in circles one. So I want to finish that one before I start a knit around in circles sock. So I kind of needed some mindless knitting. And Wee County Yarns, Claire of Wee County Yarns, tweeted that she had sold a couple of bundles of the yarn to knit the scarf that the 13th Doctor wore in the New Year's Eve episode. If you don't follow Doctor Who, you'll have no idea what I'm talking about, but the Doctor Who, the 13th Doctor in the promo pictures was wearing a rainbow striped scarf, vertically striped rather than the horizontal stripes that tend to be easier for scarves. The last time a Doctor had a scarf, it was horizontal stripes. It was enormously huge, but this time she had a very pretty rainbow striped scarf in the promo pictures. So Kate Heppel, the editor of Knit Now magazine, based on the pictures, reverse engineered the scarf using King Cole Merino Blend DK weight yarn, they're 50-gram balls of yarn, and put it up for free on the Knit Now magazine's website. And that was in December that the pattern came out. So Claire of Wee County Yarns just tweeted last week that she'd been selling a couple of bundles that were clearly to make this scarf, but she was almost out of one of the colors which had been discontinued. And I thought, oh, well, I wanted to knit that. It's very pretty. I better order it before this color goes out and I have to work out what the colors are on my own. So those all came. I don't even have the ball bands on it. I've been weighing my colors before I start the stripes for that color and then weighing them after so I can see how much I'm actually using and if I'll have enough to sell it on to someone else. Most of the colors are just one little thin stripe, and then there's like a light blue teal section where you need 3 balls. But I've been weighing them to see how much it uses for each color sequence. And unfortunately, there are a couple of colors where I'm going to use half or more than half of the ball. This one will be, well, maybe it'll be just about half, but I'll see if when I'm done, rather than have all of these balls sitting in my stash for a while, if I can have a clear out and say, hey, if anyone else wants to knit the scarf, I have the discontinued color, I have most of the other ones, and then you just need to buy the longer section where it used more yarn. Or I may just decide to keep all the colors for knitting toys, because it's always nice to have little bits for knitting toys in all sorts of colors. But it's knit lengthwise, so you're knitting the whole length of the scarf, do that off camera, the whole length of the scarf rather than do the short way up, you knit the long way back and forth. So I've just started my third color which is this fuchsia pink. It's cranberry, cerise, and now fuchsia. And the next color up I think is cinnamon, which is an orangey color. And then mustard and bay leaf, yellow and green. I think there's a couple of greens. Then we get into the blues and the teals, including the long stretch. And away we go. I have no idea how long this will take, but this does count as easy, not having to worry about it knitting. And that's kind of everything for me. I did work on my my no nylon sock, but not enough to be worth showing progress. And I even pulled out, Catherine started Play and Go at the Leisure Center yesterday. So I brought a completely mindless knitting. I pulled out my Halloween sock that's been hibernating and worked on that a little bit. So yeah, but again, nothing worth looking at. And yeah, so things of interest to knitters. There's been a big discussion primarily on Instagram about racism in the knitting community, which has been rather difficult to follow. In the good old days of LiveJournal, you would just link to someone's LiveJournal account and you could read it, but a lot of this stuff is in their stories, and stories only stay up for 24 hours. Though you can save stories go by really quickly. You can hold the screen to keep a given card in a story from going away, but I find that doesn't always work either, or you'll be holding it and your fingers over some of the text. I hate Instagram as a medium for conveying text. That is a personal thing. It is part of I wish people would use blogs again. I love blogs. I'm doing a video podcast, but I love blogs. I love reading. I love being able to engage with something on my own time, which is something you can do with a blog that you can't really do with Instagram or even Twitter. On Twitter, things go by and it's very difficult to go back, especially if something was retweeted into your timeline. I mean, if it's someone you follow, you can be like, oh, this person I follow did a thing. I want to go back and reread it again. It's not easy or convenient, but you can do it. You can go to their timeline and scroll back and see if you can remember how far back it was. And if they are very active, then there's a lot more to go through, but you can go back and do it. But if it's someone that just pops up into your thread, unless you can remember their username or who it was that retweeted it, you won't necessarily ever be able to find this ever again. So if someone is saying things on Twitter, you kind of have to read them as you come to them in your timeline, or they're probably gone. So yeah, blogs, even something like this. I mean, you could link to it and say, here's this thing, and it would stay. I don't think videos are a good way of conveying information. There are people who learn visually, so you could add a lot of graphics, but like just for a voiceover of information, I think the written word is, for most people, more convenient. But yeah, blogs, bring them back. Love your blogs. Have your own domain for your blogs, because otherwise Russia buys LiveJournal and LiveJournal suddenly goes away. Or the people who run another blogging service can't afford to do it anymore and that goes away. Have your own blog. I don't, but you should. Yeah. Anyway, if you do want to catch up with it, there is a thread on Ravelry, which I believe is is linked from the homepage, which is heavily moderated, excuse me, and is specifically a place for white people to educate yourselves. Like, the knitting community is predominantly white. We need to do better. We need to be more aware of the problems other people are facing and the ones that we specifically are creating, either through cluelessness or malice. And we need to be responsible for educating ourselves and other white people as to more appropriate ways to behave, so that knitting can be a wonderful, inclusive place for everyone, which is what knitting is supposed to be. It is supposed to be a hobby that is fun. It is not supposed to be a grueling championship of only the best or only the right people, or that's not what knitting is supposed to be. So yeah, there's that. And on more fun news, Kate Davies has started her latest collection. She had curated the hats, but that was other designers. And this is her own designs. Her latest collection is Seasons, and it is currently in a pre-release where she's releasing one pattern a week. It's 2 books this time. It's the Season Knitting Patterns, and then it's another book about creativity, essays on creativity. And I have not signed up for the club, so I am not getting the essays on creativity, but I have seen last Friday and today, the first 2 patterns for the Seasons. They're winter patterns, and one is I believe it's called dolman sleeve, like triangular, narrow sleeves, and then it's kind of a triangle to the body with a large intarsia snowflake in the middle. That is absolutely gorgeous. I saw it and I was like, I love that. I could sign up just to get that one pattern and be happy. And today, Ms. Davies released a hat that is also covered in very graphic snowflakes that is absolutely gorgeous. And I was kind of like, oh, I could frog my Teradel and knit that instead. I'm not going to do it, but I was tempted. I still am tempted. It is a gorgeous hat. I don't even like that kind of slouchy style. It does not look good on me, but it is such a beautiful hat. But yeah, I have not signed up. It's still in pre-release, I think, until the last pattern comes out, which should be in March. And it's £40, gets you the 2 books. You get the pattern on Friday, and I think you get an essay each week from the On Creativity book. I think you get that on Monday, the following Monday. It's another day, so yeah, the patterns are just gorgeous so far. I can't wait to see what all she does with the collection. She's a very talented designer. So yeah, that kind of catches up on all the knitting stuff. The next thing, moving on, is family. Catherine is 2. It was her birthday last Friday. She is 2 years old now. She had chicken pox all last week, and so I wasn't able to go out and buy anything for her, but it turns out I had stashed enough things in the cupboard, either things that could have been Christmas presents, and I said, well, she's getting enough, we'll stick that in the cupboard, or things that I had bought that were never intended to be Christmas presents. My mother had sent a doll bed to go with the doll as part of her Christmas present, but I did decide for that one that Catherine had enough stuff, and I didn't want the day to be too overwhelming. And I think for Christmas we did really well with not being overwhelming. So I had saved the bed. So Friday when she was napping, I quickly went in, and I guess she wasn't even napping. It was when Christina was home and they were playing together. I snuck off and built this tiny little doll IKEA bed, which fortunately was only 4 screws. I snuck off and made it in one of the bedrooms, and had to put it in the very, very, very large, cloth bag Christina had got a second baby born for Christmas. So, Kitten got a second baby born for Christmas, which is, so she has twin baby borns now. And I had selected for Amazon to go ahead and gift wrap that for me. And it just came in this giant tulle bag, almost, I don't know what it is, it's fabric. And it's not the sturdiest, but it was huge. So I put the bed, which is just an awkward shape, in the bag, and Catherine got it for her birthday. I love reusing bags. It's the first time I've gotten something from Amazon where they put it in a reusable bag. Everything else has been wrapped in paper or in like just nice boxes. So if I ever order something of an unusual size from them again, I will pay to have them wrap it, because that was very simple and I can use it a lot. And the bag itself is probably actually, like if you just went out and bought a bag like that, it would probably be at least their standard wrapping fee, which otherwise is a bit steep, especially if you're ordering like a pile of books and then you have to pay for each book to be wrapped, and you can't, there's no way to say just stick them all together and wrap them. So, but yeah, so it was her birthday and she got that, and she got a little gardening set, which she has been loving so far. I think she thinks it's a tool set because she keeps going around and like banging things with it. And it's got a set of garden shears, secateurs. She was like pretending to cut up her doll clothes with it. She's been super into Play-Doh recently. The stuff Christina had largely moved into the garage, and then if she asked for Play-Doh stuff, I'd get it out. But Catherine is seriously into Play-Doh, which is, Christina was about 2 and she was peak, like, well, not peak Play-Doh, but that was kind of when the Play-Doh obsession started with her. So she's really into Play-Doh, and that's one at least where I can pull things out of the garage, and she's like, wow, I've never seen this before. We had store-bought cupcakes. Grandma Skyped and we sang happy birthday to her together. She was so excited. She knew about cakes and candles and everything too. We were singing happy birthday to her and she's like already blowing, and huge smiles. Such a happy kid. So that was nice. It turned out much nicer than I had feared it would with my whole, Chris had gone into town and bought cards. But yeah, it worked out really nicely. And Kitten is under the weather this week. So she hasn't gone. She didn't go to Girl Brigades. She didn't go to swimming lessons. She hasn't really, there's been a lot of crying and not a lot of interest in food, which then leads to more crying. But it's her birthday next week. So her, like what she really wanted, first she wanted a bunk bed, which is going to be their Christmas present. And then when we were, for her and Catherine to share. And then when we were looking at bunk beds, she saw what I would call lofted beds. Here in the UK, they're called rise beds. And it was like with the desk and everything under it. And she decided that actually she'd really like one of those. There's an amazing one from Home Depot that, if we had Home Depot in the UK, would have been the winner, because it's kind of like, it has a canopy that makes it look like a castle, not like just a canopy on top, but like a tent to make it look like a castle. And there's a ladder and a slide, and I'm sorry, but that's wonderful. And then under the bed, there's still like the dresser and the bookcase and stuff like that. But we picked a very nice one, which is a mid-rise. We looked at the high-rise ones, like the full lofted ones, and then we were worried like it'd be too high and she'd be scared, and Chris wouldn't be able to read her bedtime story. So we got a mid-rise, which is really cute. And in 4 years, Kitten will be 10. Catherine will be 6. In 4 years, Catherine will be 6, which is the age Kitten is now. So at that point, we can get her, if she wants a bigger, more grown-up bed, and Catherine can have the mid-rise one. So it was a bit pricey, but the kind of thing we can use for years to come. Hopefully get 8 years of at least 8 years out of it. So last night we did party invites for her party. She just wants friends over. I was thinking order a pizza, but I don't know that they deliver. Pizza places deliver at that time of day. I'll have to check. But do something like pizza and just put out snacks, put a movie on, and have some like coloring and stuff for them. But I really need to get that sorted out next week. Now that I know how many people she's invited, I kind of have a number of how many party favors and stuff I need to have as well. I don't think everyone we invited will be able to make it. I know at least one of the kids has swim lessons on that day, so he won't be there. But hopefully that will work out. And yeah, the other big thing I have been doing so far this month is cleaning out the house, which is an ongoing project. We've been here for 3.5 years now. That's enough time to at least have all the boxes undone. And I can't really do much in the garage since you need a bit of time to do that. And Catherine's nap is not long enough for me to make much headway in the garage. So when she's in nursery, that's kind of when I'll be able to tackle the garage. But I've been going through and cleaning up with Christina sleeping in her own bed. Her room is no longer the guest room, so I had to turn the sofa bedroom, which was kind of half my craft room, but I couldn't use anything because it was full of toys and all the things that, like, I didn't want the kids, Catherine particularly, getting into, were just piled on top of the big table in there. So I moved all my craft stuff into the spare cupboard in the big bedroom, having moved all of Chris's stuff out of that half of the cupboard and into the room where he's been sleeping, so that he actually has his stuff where he is and he's not sleeping kind of in the spare room in someone else's house is probably what it felt like for him to be in there. At first he was just sleeping in there, and then like all of his clothes were still in the big bedroom, and then he kind of moved stuff in with him. So there'd been some confusion about what rooms were going to be for what. So my craft stuff was mostly in the sofa bedroom, but some of it was in the front room that Chris is in. It was supposed to be Catherine's bedroom. It'll be Catherine's bedroom when she's bigger. And she moves out of the big bedroom with me. But anyway, I moved Chris's stuff in there and then moved the craft stuff into the cupboard in the big bedroom, and then turned that room mostly into a toy room, which is really nice because Catherine goes in there and she plays with her toys. The neighbors have a girl a little bit older than Kitten, so we've been getting some of their hand-me-down stuff, and one thing was a pop-up tent, and they gave it to us last year, and Catherine was kind of scared of it, and Christina wasn't really interested, so it was in the garage over the last year, and so this year I got it out, and Catherine absolutely loves it. She has dragged a whole bunch of toys in there, and if you haven't seen her for a while, you go look for her, and she's in there, and she's like, "Hi, I'm playing in my own little house." And you're like, okay, that's nice. And it is nice, but part of it's getting everything. We had to clean Christina's room so that the bed could be assembled and put in, and I was over, like, Monday was going to be my day to go through Christina's room and really tidy it up. And I had told her we needed to tidy her room because the house cleaners were coming on Tuesday and we needed her room. Normally, she just puts a little note on her door. We put a note on her door for her saying, "Don't clean this room." She doesn't want strangers in her room. And I told her we need to let them actually, dust and hoover and stuff so that the bed could be put in. And over the weekend, on her own, she went and took all the things off her floor and shoved them all in the closet. So I will need to go through that, but we can do that after the bed's being assembled today. So we can do that probably after her birthday party. But unpack some stuff so that her friends can actually play in her room or in the sofa bedroom or in the lounge. the toys are, it's a better spread through the house with a lot more of the toys they actually play with in another room, so it's not all scattered on the floor in the place where Chris and I would like to live. I don't want it to be a room where there's no kid stuff, but I don't want it to be a room where everything is kid stuff and there's no room for grown-ups. So I think we're achieving a better balance for that kind of thing. And I've been getting rid of a little grocery carrier bag of stuff. There's a donation point at Kitten's school. So at least once a week I've been taking a bag and chucking it in there to go to charity. So yeah, I made good progress this year. I am not doing the Con Marie thing of taking all of your clothes and laying them out on the bed and picking up every piece and seeing if it sparks joy. But I am trying to be more mindful of the whole idea, like, is this thing make you happy, or is it something where you feel an obligation to it? Is it something that could be making someone else happier? Would it create space in your life for you to have things that actually do make you happy if this wasn't there? So trying to make more space. It does help. I mean, the most important thing in any of this is that Catherine is now 2, so we don't have to have quite the level of nothing in her reach. She's not sticking things in her mouth and swallowing them the way she did when she was a baby. Everything went in her mouth. And she does still sometimes put things in her mouth, but it's very much to play. She's not thinking it's food. She's not wanting to, not really in danger of swallowing things. So it's nice that we don't have to have all the things piled up where she can't reach them. So now I'm able to unpile things and hopefully have better use of space. So yeah, that's been tiring. It is work doing that. But it's good too, because the house looks better. And certainly if you haven't used it in 3.5 years, excuse me, although that's not entirely true when you've had babies and you're breastfeeding and stuff like that, because there were styles I was wearing more after Christina was weaned that I couldn't, like, when I'm breastfeeding, I basically live in t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirts or short sleeve t-shirts with a coordinating vest tank top underneath. So one layer comes up and one layer goes down and you can breastfeed. You can't wear full-length dresses or, not even full-length dresses. You can't wear dresses unless, like this one. Ta-da! Hey, look, coordinating vest. So it really limits your style when you need to be able to feed a baby. But yeah, hopefully I'll get to wear some of those clothes again soon. My plan to night wean her in the new year has not gone well because she got chicken pox and basically didn't eat all last week. Wanted to get all of her sustenance from nursing, and she is feeling better. She is eating more. So we're starting again with the whole, I don't want you waking me up 4 times at night to nurse. Hopefully I'll get there, touch wood. And that pretty much catches up on everything around here. So I hope you're doing well, and thank you for joining me. And I'll talk to you hopefully next week. Thank you. Bye.